Some structures are so massive, so audacious, that they seem to defy the laws of engineering itself. A tower rises so thin, so impossibly slender, that it seems to bend with the wind. A bridge floats across the sea, connecting two nations without ever touching the horizon. Deep underground, tunnels stretch for miles beneath mountains, oceans, and cities that never even know they exist. These are not follies of ambition. They are not just concrete to steel or glass. They are humanity's boldest answer to the impossible. Join us as we journey across the planet to uncover the world's most extraordinary megaprojects, where imagination, engineering, and human willpower reshape the very face of the Earth. Stretching 5.6 miles across the sea, Oosterschelde deckering does not just block water, but can open to let the sea keep flowing and close when a major storm approaches. This system is controlled by computers and sensors, automatically lowering the steel gates when the sea level rises to a dangerous point. To keep the structure stable on the sandy seabed, engineers placed large stone mats on the seafloor to create a strong foundation. Tailladons. Standing on that base are 65 hollow concrete pillars lowered into the water and filled with sand until each one weighs about 19,842 tonnes. Between the pillars are 62 steel gates, each weighing about 529 tonnes, able to drop like moving walls to block stormwater. When cars drive along the road on top of the barrier, the rushing water and swirling currents below make Oosterschelde deckering feel like the final boundary between humans and the ocean. Sphere, Las Vegas, United States. In the middle of the dry desert, a giant metal sphere rises like an alien spaceship, erasing all boundaries between reality and the virtual world. World. This is the most expensive entertainment structure ever built in this area, with a cost of up to 2.3 billion US dollars, far exceeding any normal stadium. Its outer shell is a vivid light show capable of transforming into a giant eye or a burning planet in the middle of the dark night. With a width of over 500 feet, the Interior space is so vast that it can contain the entire Statue of Liberty and still have room. Room. The most special feature is the sound system with 167,000 hidden speakers, capable of sending separate sounds to the ears of each person sitting without headphones. Its attraction is so great that to project an image on this surface for 24 hours, brands have to pay a huge amount of $450,000. Steinway Tower rises above New York like a giant needle, extremely tall yet so thin that it catches your attention from far away. On foggy days, the top of the tower almost disappears into the clouds, making the building look as if it has no clear ending. As the light changes, the outside of the tower also changes colour, from bright gold at sunrise to deep red at sunset. This effect comes from 43,000 terracotta blocks and bronze strips on the facade, making the tower stand apart from ordinary modern glass buildings. At more than 1,428 feet tall, but with an extremely narrow body, its 1:24 slenderness ratio has made it one of the thinnest buildings in the world. Inside, floor-to-ceiling glass walls create the feeling of standing in mid-air, but the building is almost closed to regular visitors because it is mainly reserved for ultra-luxury apartments. Rising into the sky of France, the Milo Viaduct has a record-setting pylon reaching 1,125 feet, taller than the Eiffel Tower, creating the image of a road lifted above the valley. At that height, wind becomes the main threat, so the bridge deck is shaped aerodynamically to reduce wind forces that can reach 140 miles per hour. Beyond fighting the wind, the structure also allows the deck to expand by up to 4 feet under temperature changes, helping release pressure before it builds into cracks. Behind that engineering, 7 large pylons and the white cable system appear from far away like sails standing in the air, making the huge steel structure look lighter than its real size. On foggy mornings, the lower body of the bridge almost disappears, while the vehicles on top seem to drive straight into a sea of clouds. Most impressively, this project was completed in only 3 years without a single fatal accident, turning Milo into a symbol of speed and technical control. Instead of making trains climb over a giant mountain mass, the Gotthard Base Tunnel places the railway deep under the mountain base, stretching more than 35 miles and sitting beneath up to 7,546 feet of rock. Thanks to this almost flat tunnel route, trains can move through the huge rock mass at about 155 miles per hour without climbing steep slopes. To create this tunnel, 4 boring machines about 1,312 feet long worked like moving factories, cutting through hard rock step by step. After years of digging through the mountain, more than 28 million tonnes of rock were removed, almost enough material to build 5 Great Pyramids of Giza. The most special part is found at the 2 ends of the tunnel. A train can enter in freezing weather, then come out on the other side under the warm sunlight about 20 minutes later. The Three Gorges Dam did not just stop a mighty river. It also collected 44 billion tonnes of water, enough to slow Earth's rotation by about 0.06 microseconds. From that massive body of water, the project generates 22,500 megawatts of power, equal to running about 15 nuclear reactors at the same time. Beschichtos. A wall 1.4 miles long and 591 feet high was built, containing 510,370 tonnes of steel, about the weight of 63 Eiffel Towers. Behind that wall, the once violent water was forced to rise into an inland sea 373 miles long, surrounded by rock mountains millions of years old. But behind this engineering achievement, more than 1,300 ancient archaeological sites were permanently submerged beneath the reservoir. Along with those lost heritage sites More than 1.3 million people also had to leave their homes as the artificial lake covered the traces of old lands. The metropolitan area outer underground discharge channel looks like a concrete temple underground, but it is actually a giant machine built to swallow floodwater for the city. When floodwater enters the system, the sound of flowing water and machinery echoes through the ground, making it feel like several jet engines are roaring beneath the street. First, the water is guided down through 5 vertical shafts about 246 feet deep, forming concrete voids large enough to swallow a huge amount of floodwater. From there, the water flows into the main tank, where rows of concrete pillars weighing about 551 tonnes rise like the skeleton of an underground cathedral. When the water level rises, 4 pump units using jet turbine technology push the water out, with each one reaching about 14,000 horsepower. But after every flood, workers still have to use pulleys to descend to the bottom of the chamber and clear the mud by hand so this flood fighting machine is ready for the next time. At Abraj Al Bait, time no longer sits on a wrist or inside a phone, but is enlarged into 4 clock faces about 141 feet wide on a tower more than 1,969 feet tall. From those clock faces that the eye is pulled upward to Arabic script about 112 feet long, turning the structure into a religious signal visible from miles away. Even higher, a crescent about 75 feet tall and covered in 24 karat gold makes the top of the tower glow like a man-made mark in the dry sky. But behind that overwhelming image, a centuries-old Ottoman fortress once disappeared in clouds of explosive dust to make room for the Megaproject. Because of that, Abraj Al Bait is not only an engineering wonder, but also shows how development can swallow part of historical memory. Inside, more than 400 elevators work like the veins of a vertical city, constantly moving tens of thousands of people through the massive tower. Capitol Gate does not follow the familiar straight shape, but deliberately leans strongly to one side, making the whole glass tower look as if it is fighting gravity. At about 525 feet tall and leaning 18 degrees to the west, Capitol Gate is recognised by Guinness World Records as the world's most leaning man-made tower. To keep that record from becoming a risk, engineers used a concrete core that curves against the lean and an outer steel diagrid to spread out wind pressure. Its support system is also massive, with the steel used for the frame weighing nearly as much as two Eiffel Towers. Thanks to 12,000 reflective glass panels and a curved steel sunshade screen, Capitol Gate looks like a metal wave shining in the dry heat of the desert. Located in the dry desert of the United States, Evenpar works like a giant light machine, using about 300,000 mirrors to squeeze energy from the sun. The paradox is that even though it is called a green energy project, this system still has to burn natural gas every morning to heat up and start operating. When desert sunlight reflects off hundreds of thousands of mirrors, the glare can become strong enough to blind pilots flying at altitudes of tens of thousands of feet. Even more dangerous, the focused light zone creates an invisible heat furnace that can burn birds accidentally flying through the hot beam. All that light is directed into three central towers, pushing the temperature close to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit and making them glow like three fake suns. When the entire mirror matrix turns with the sun, the valley below seems to become a constantly moving ocean of light. Like a giant hand pulling a golden thread halfway across the sky, the Golden Bridge stretches over the mountain at about 4,593 feet above sea level. Behind the dreamlike image, the hands covered with mossy cracks are actually only fiberglass shells that have been artificially aged. The real support comes from steel columns hidden inside the mountainside, while the 492-foot bridge curves into 8 spans, a simuls to reduce wind force and limit shaking. From far away, the bright golden colour of the bridge stands in clear contrast with the rough grey hands that look like ancient stone and the green flower strips running along the railings. On the bridge deck, the main walkway is about 10 feet wide, making visitors feel as if they are walking on a thin road suspended in open space. As mist rises and hides the valley below, the hidden engineering turns the Golden Bridge into a man-made illusion, floating in the sky. Dubai Frame, United Arab Emirates. Far beyond the concept of an ordinary tower, this observatory is a giant hollow sculpture plated in brilliant gold amidst the desert. The secret lies in the smart glass technology on the bridge. The opaque floor turns completely transparent as soon as sensors detect human footsteps. Its strategic location turns it into a time machine, capturing the ancient quarter on one side and opening up a vision of futuristic skyscrapers on the other. Built on the divine number of the golden ratio, the structure rises to a height of 492 feet, creating visual perfection. To withstand harsh sandstorms, the outer shell is coated with ultra-durable titanium nitride instead of paint, helping it always shine like a mortal pure gold. Walking on that fragile glass strip brings extreme excitement as you see the whole world shrinking beneath your heels. In a world that always wants to build faster, Sagrada Familia stands out for the opposite reason. It has been under construction since 1882 and is still not finished. To create that complex shape, Gaudi used an upside-down model with strings and weights, helping the building follow the real force of gravity. From that design method, the structure mixes modified Gothic design with Art Nouveau, connecting curves, stone surfaces, and images of nature into one form. Inside, red porphyry columns that can handle about 29,000 pounds per square inch of pressure rise and split like tree trunks to support the large roof. The lower space avoids hard, straight lines, making visitors feel as if they are standing inside a forest made of stone. Above, 18 towers are arranged as a system of religious symbols, with the tallest tower about 566 feet high, but still about 3 feet lower than the highest mountain peak in the area. Without rising above the water, the channel tunnel makes the train disappear into the darkness beneath the seabed, with nearly 24 miles of tunnel lying completely under the ocean floor. To stop seawater from leaking in, the tunnel was drilled through an ancient layer of chalk marl, soft enough to cut but tight enough to block water. As the train runs through the tunnel, passengers no longer see the sky or the sea, only grey concrete walls and streaks of light rushing past the windows. The most unsettling feeling comes from knowing that above that concrete layer are rock, millions of tons of cold water, and large ships passing overhead. It does not only carry passengers, because the system also has special shuttle trains that can take cars and trucks through the seabed. After the project was completed, some giant tunnel boring machines weighing more than 1,000 tonnes were not pulled back up, but steered aside and left forever in the rock beneath the sea. Louvre, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. Like a visual miracle, this 590-foot wide silver dome looks like it is floating amidst the vast ocean. Hidden underneath is a maze of 55 separate white buildings forming a floating village on the seawater. This structure is assembled from 7,850 interlaced metal stars, forming a mesmerising artificial sky. Sunlight filtering through creates a unique rain of light effect, simulating the feeling of sitting under a cool palm forest. To maintain that surreal beauty, 4 giant support pillars have been completely hidden inside simulated walls. The structure is a symbol of great cultural ambition, where the artistic values of France and the Arab world shine together. As if challenging every familiar law of gravity, Raffles City Chongqing suspends a giant horizontal skyscraper right across the sky. Inside that glass structure is a 164-foot infinity pool, where visitors swim 820 feet above the ground, separated from open space by only a thin layer of glass. This architectural mass stretches more than 984 feet across the skyline, making the space above the city feel trapped inside a giant glass cage. Holding up that insane weight are 8 gently curved towers, creating the feeling of an alien spaceship fleet landing in the heart of the city. To stop the metal block from sliding toward the water, the foundation system had to drill 98 feet through soft mud and pin the structure firmly into bedrock. The strangest sight comes when thick fog swallows the tower bases for about 100 days each year, making the whole structure look like a glass fortress floating in emptiness. Breaking every familiar idea of mountain transportation, Ajai Bridge cuts straight through the cliffs to suspend a giant steel ribbon between 2 tunnels in the air. When cars rush onto the bridge deck, the feeling of safety quickly disappears, Because outside there is only strong wind, deep empty space, and thick fog blocking the view. Waiting at both ends of the abyss are pitch-black tunnel arches, opening like two giant stone mouths, swallowing the stream of vehicles rushing toward them. Beneath the bridge is an empty drop of 1,102 feet, often filled with fog so thick that drivers can barely sense the real depth below. Even more frightening, the main span stretches 3,858 feet across the valley without a single support pillar below, forcing the entire weight to hang from the cable system. Thanks to that mechanical power, a 30-minute struggle at the bottom of the abyss is compressed into a push of the gas pedal lasting less than 1 minute. Deceiving the eyes of millions of people, Öresund Bridge shocks viewers because it rises high above the sea and then suddenly disappears as if swallowed by the ocean. That disappearance happens when the cable-stayed bridge drops onto an artificial island where the route continues into a tunnel deep beneath the water. To build that tunnel, engineers did not dig through the seabed in the usual way, but precast giant concrete tubes weighing 55,000 tonnes and sank them into a deep trench. Because of that, crossing this route creates a strong psychological shock as you move from high above the foggy sea wind into a dark and suffocating tunnel only minutes later. On the section still rising above the sea, two sharp white pylons stand 669 feet tall, looking like giant needles piercing the northern European sky. Even stranger, beneath the quiet road surface is a giant hollow space hiding a double-track railway where heavy trains run directly under the wheels of cars. In desert heat that can reach 122 degrees Fahrenheit, Ski Dubai still keeps an artificial winter at about 28 degrees Fahrenheit inside a massive structure. Inside that shell is a ski slope, 1,312 feet long, with a vertical drop of 197 feet, enough to feel like a real mountainside. The snow covering the slope is not fake snow, but real snow made every night when pure water mist meets cold air. The whole ski area is wrapped in many layers of insulation, working like a large thermos to block the desert heat. Under the snow surface, a cooling pipe system keeps the base layer below freezing, so thousands of footsteps do not turn the slope into slush. Even the old snow is melted into cold water to support the air conditioning system, helping Ski Dubai reuse the cold it creates. Going far beyond the image of a normal aircraft parking area, Hamad International Airport feels like a megastructure built to display the extreme wealth of the Arab world. Even though it sits in a scorching desert climate, the airport holds an artificial tropical forest indoors, sustained by desalinated seawater. To create enough space for its giant runways, more than 60% of the project area was formed through land reclamation, forcing the ocean to move back. The most haunting feature in the main hall is a teddy bear statue, 23 feet tall and weighing 22 tons, both innocent and strangely overwhelming. The entire space is paved with tens of thousands of square feet of mirror-like marble, catching brilliant light while still helping block some of the heat outside. Behind that luxury, the airport also reveals a clear divide between rich and ordinary travellers, as the elite are separated inside extremely lavish lounges. Buried deep beneath thick layers of rock, the LHC operates a closed tunnel ring 17 miles long to force beams of elementary particles close to the speed limit of the universe. When two particle beams collide, they create tiny explosions that can become 100,000 times hotter than the sun's core, releasing terrifying energy at the subatomic level. Holding that power are giant particle detectors weighing up to 15,432 tons, sitting in the darkness like mechanical beasts woven from tens of thousands of cold, sharp cables. To reduce interference from cosmic radiation, the entire system is placed about 328 feet underground, using the massive layer of earth and rock above as a natural shield. Inside the vacuum tubes, The environment is cooled down to negative 456 degrees Fahrenheit, creating an artificial space even colder than most of the distant universe. Although the particle beam is thinner than a human hair, its kinetic energy is so terrifying that it is compared to a 441-ton train rushing wildly at 93 miles per hour. Only a modern strip of road clinging between rock walls and deep cliffs, the Karakoram Highway still stretches about 808 miles to link China with Pakistan through one of the most dangerous mountain regions in the world. At more than 15,000 feet, thin air, cold temperatures, and sudden snowstorms can quickly turn a normal drive into a survival challenge. The route sits where two major tectonic plates push against each other, so that the ground is always unstable and landslides can fall onto the road at any time. In the 1960s, more than 24,000 workers used over 8,000 tons of explosives and simple tools to open the road through hard rock. Many sections are only narrow roads with no guardrails, with deep cliffs below and dark water full of mud and broken rock rushing hard underneath. Even today, the Karakoram Highway still feels like a mega project that never truly ends because fallen rock must be cleared every day to keep the road open between high mountains and deep cliffs. Towering in the middle of stormy seas, Troll A looks like an insane concrete fortress rising 1,549 feet above the ocean. Beneath the water, its giant pylon system is carefully designed to withstand seismic vibrations when the sea floor moves. The base of the structure works like giant suction cups, creating a permanent gripping force that keeps it standing against 98-foot waves without anchor cables. With a dry weight of about 1,200,000 tonnes, it was once the largest object humans had ever moved across Earth's surface. For the engineering team working week-long shifts, this place feels like a steel box completely isolated from the outside world. Even stranger, sound travelling through the 984-foot hollow pillars below can create haunting echoes, like a cold concert at the bottom of the ocean. Standing imposingly on the natural border, Itaipu Dam feels like a giant concrete heart pumping electricity into the economy of an entire vast region. To satisfy that hunger for energy, it holds back a body of water weighing up to 32 billion tonnes, creating enormous pressure on the Earth's crust below. When the floodgate mouths open, massive blocks of water are forced straight down the concrete throat, roaring like a great flood, controlled by humans. From far away, the cold, dry body of the dam looks like a giant grey saw blade, brutally cutting across the dense green tropical forest. Behind that lifeless wall is a lake surface covering 521 square miles, calm like a disguise hiding the primeval ecosystem sunk into the pitch black depths. Even more devastating, this megastructure took away the homes of about 40,000 indigenous people, drowning even their ancestral graves forever beneath an artificial ocean without sunlight. Like a giant steel sky lowered onto the ground, the new safe confinement was created to lock away the ruins of a nuclear disaster. This arch was designed to work for about 100 years, acting as a way to buy time until humans find a safe way to handle what remains below. To cover the dangerous area, the dome was built 354 feet high and 843 feet wide, large enough to seal the ruins, while still leaving open space inside. Because the radiation at the site was too high, it was assembled at a safe distance, then pushed along hydraulic rails into its final position. Beneath that steel shell, about 220 tons of corium still remain, a kind of artificial lava formed from nuclear fuel, metal and melted concrete. On top of the arch, an automated crane with a lifting capacity of 55 tons quietly removes the wreckage below, replacing humans in a place not meant for life. In one of the driest Mars-like landscapes on Earth, the Alma Observatory in Chile appears like an alien fleet listening for signals from the ancient universe. Because there is very little water vapour in the air, weak signals from space face less interference, helping ALMA look deep into regions the human eye could never see. At 16,404 feet high, the air pressure drops sharply, forcing the people working there to use oxygen support to stay alert. Ignoring normal light, ALMA's 66 steel dishes quietly collect extremely short waves to look through the curtain of cosmic dust. By linking tightly together, they form a virtual telescope up to 10 miles wide, giving it extremely sharp image resolution. Thanks to that power, ALMA does not just look far into space, but also looks back in time to where the first stars and planetary systems were forming. Lying still beneath the river like a sleeping machine, the Thames Barrier was created to stop storm surges from the sea before they flood into the capital. What makes it special is that on normal days, those gates rest on the riverbed, only rotating 90 degrees and rising as high as a 5-story building when a flood warning comes. Each central gate stretches up to 200 feet long and weighs about 3,300 tons, revealing the huge mechanical scale hidden beneath what seems like a quiet river. Above the water, 10 shining steel-clad towers rise with sharp, clean shapes, looking like the back fins of a mechanical fleet. When the gates close across a span of 1,706 feet, the whole system turns into a cold steel wall, clearly splitting the river into two sides. Despite its enormous weight, the entire system can still seal the river in about 90 minutes, turning open water into a man-made defence line. As if stealing fire from the stars, the experimental Advanced Superconducting Tokamak, or EAST, in China has heated plasma to more than 180 million degrees Fahrenheit. The unbelievable part lies in the temperature gap. because the superconducting magnets that trap this fire must be cooled to about minus 452 degrees Fahrenheit with liquid helium. Its deuterium fuel can come from seawater, with about 0.26 gallons of seawater theoretically holding energy equal to nearly 79 gallons of gasoline. East has also maintained plasma at about 126 million degrees Fahrenheit for 1,056 seconds, proving that humans are moving closer to controlling fusion reactions. After each test run, the metal section at the bottom of the chamber can be heated and worn down, leaving marks from high energy particles constantly striking it. In contrast to the furious plasma core, the outside space feels cold and sterile, where tiny humans are trying to control the energy of the stars. In Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Like a giant guarding the bay, this wheel offers a 360-degree view, turning skyscrapers below into toy models. Inside, 48 glass cabins are not cramped cages, but flying rooms covering 323 square feet, large enough to hold a party. Holding this structure steady is a network of 192 tension cables, 1,491 miles long, woven together like a giant steel spiderweb in mid-air. It proudly rises to a height of 820 feet, completely crushing the London Eye's record to become the absolute king of the sky. To build this legend, they cast over 12,300 tons of steel, 33% more than the iron needed to build the Eiffel Tower in Paris. At night, it does not sleep, but transforms into a brilliant crown of light, shining luxury down onto the dark water. Akashi Kaikyo Bridge, Japan. Piercing the cloud layer with a height of 984 feet, the two towers of the bridge appear like a heavenly gate, completely separated from the sea surface. Its resilience is a legend as it survived a 7.2 magnitude earthquake, a geological shock that tore the ground and pushed the two bridge legs 3 feet further apart. The total length of the steel cables here reaches 186,411 miles, a crazy number enough to wrap around the Earth's equator 7.5 times. For 24 long years, it firmly held the throne as a suspension bridge with the longest main span in human history, with an unimaginable distance of 6,532 feet. To suspend this monster, 36,830 small steel wires were compressed together into a massive main cable bundle with a diameter of 44 inches. Its scale is so large that engineers had to account for the curvature of the Earth, making the distance between the two tower tops 4 inches wider than the base. Merdeka 118, Malaysia. Rising from the Earth like an unpolished gem, this structure is a firm statement about the rise of a new era. The craziest challenge here is stepping outside the glass cage, where only a safety harness holds you back from the vast abyss. Thousands of faceted glass panels not only create beauty, but also help break the power of storms at high levels. Reaching an astonishing height of 2,227 feet, it has officially become the planet's second roof, leaving other rivals far behind. The arrangement of glass faces mimics ancient woven fabric patterns, turning the cold steel block into a vivid cultural artwork. At night, the lighting system running along the architectural ribs turns the tower into a giant sword of light in the sky. Forest City, Malaysia. Rising from the ocean thanks to 212 million cubic yards of sandfill, this artificial archipelago is proof of the wildest ambition to reshape nature. However, the dream of a super city for 700,000 people died young when less than 1% of the population moved in, leaving behind a frightening emptiness. The tragedy lies in housing prices 60 times higher than local income, making it a forbidden citadel that the poor cannot reach. The green-covered towers now look like a horror movie set where wild plants swallow the cold concrete balconies. Its location is calculated lying just 1 mile from the neighbouring country's border, aiming to drain the opponent's economic resources. But nature is reclaiming everything as the soft ground begins to sink, revealing large cracks threatening the survival of this ghost city. Tokyo Skytree, Japan. Piercing the sky at a height of 2,080 feet, this giant silver hairpin is currently the tallest T-tower in the world, recognised by the Guinness Book of Records. From the observation deck, at a height of 1,476 feet, visitors' eyes can touch the curvature of the Earth, turning skyscrapers below into toys. The heart-stopping experience begins when the elevator rushes at a speed of 1,969 feet per minute, fast enough to make your ears pop due to sudden pressure changes. The secret of its stability lies in the central pillar technique, learned from ancient pagodas, helping to cancel out 50% of the shaking force during earthquakes. The tower shell is not ordinary white, but traditional Igiro colour, mixed with a hint of blue, helping it blend delicately into the daytime sky. The attraction of standing above everyone is so great that lines of people still patiently wait for hours, even though the entrance ticket price is not cheap. Hudson Yards, United States. Declaring war on natural laws. This metropolis is built on an undefined void lying right on top of roaring trains. For plants to live on the scorching concrete, a liquid cooling system is installed underground to protect the roots from temperatures of 150 degrees Fahrenheit. You will not find any garbage trucks here, as waste is sucked at 45 miles per hour through a giant pneumatic vacuum tube system. Supporting all that life are two concrete slabs weighing 35,000 tonnes, acting as a giant lid separating the underworld below. To realise this crazy dream, investors had to spend $25 billion, turning it into the most expensive real estate project in history. The end point of arrogance is the sharp triangular observation deck, where you stand on a transparent glass floor at a height of 1,100 feet, looking down into the abyss. One World Trade Center, United States. Born from painful memories, this tower stands tall as a fierce affirmation of a nation's resilience and rebirth. Architecture deceives the vision as it transforms smoothly from a square base into 8 giant isosceles triangles embracing the sky. The solid base is cleverly camouflaged by 4,000 prismatic glass panels, making the rough concrete block shimmer, like water waves under the sun. It proudly reaches a height of 1,776 feet, an unforgettable number reminding of the year of national independence. On top is a spiral antenna weighing 758 tons, acting as a steel crown, helping it become the king of the Western Hemisphere sky. The journey ends with 47 seconds in the elevator, where you see 500 years of city history running before your eyes like a time-lapse movie. NASA Vehicle Assembly Building, United States. Holding the crown as the largest single-story building on the planet, this technological cathedral is the birthplace of missions to conquer the stars. Its facade proudly wears a giant painted flag, where each star is 6 feet wide, enough to hold a full-grown adult. The greatness is shown through 4 doors, 456 feet high, so huge that it takes 45 minutes to fully open. An interesting secret is that the soaring ceiling creates its own weather system, where rain clouds can condense and pour water right inside the house. To stand firm on soft ground, it must take root with 4,225 steel piles driven 164 feet deep into the bedrock under the swamp. The road to the launch pad is also extraordinary, as it is paved with special river rocks to withstand the load of the 6 million pound crawler passing through. James Webb Space Telescope International. As humanity's messenger sent into the void, this telescope uses infrared rays to unveil the secrets of the most ancient galaxies. Its highlight is a 21-foot wide mirror wall coated with pure gold, the best heat-reflecting metal to catch faint light from the past. To get this giant tennis court into the sky, it had to be folded like origami and face 344 wrist points that could turn $10 billion into space junk. Overcoming that stormy journey, it saw light emitted 13.5 billion years ago, just 200 million years after the universe was born. It exists between 2 extreme worlds, where the side facing the sun is 185 degrees Fahrenheit hot, while the working side is minus 388 degrees Fahrenheit cold. Separating that temperature, heaven and hell are just 5 fragile layers with a sun protection factor SPF of 1 million. Tuoquetuo Power Station, China. On the windy plateau, grey concrete blocks rise into the sky, creating an industrial fortress completely separated from the outside world. Even though it is in a remote place, it carries the vital mission of pumping essential energy to the capital city more than 300 miles away. Standing here, visitors can clearly feel the ground shaking slightly from the low, non-stop growl coming from the giant machines. Its power is truly scary with a capacity of 6,720 megawatts, exceeding the electricity production of many small countries combined. However, hope is still sprouting as fields of solar panels are rising right next door, challenging the dominance of old coal. Falkirk Wheel, United Kingdom. Amidst the peaceful natural landscape, a giant steel machine shaped like a battle axe performs unique rotating turns to lift ships high up. Before entering the wheel, the ship must glide on a suspended aqueduct, bringing a surreal feeling of flying in mid-air. Inside the machine, planetary gears coordinate rhythmically to keep the water surface in the tanks perfectly calm, ensuring absolute safety. Amazingly, to rotate this huge mass, it consumes only a tiny amount of electricity, equivalent to boiling 8 kettles of water. This technological power has completely replaced the chain of 11 old locks, shortening travel time from a whole day to just 5 minutes. This is the symbol of the new millennium, marking a spectacular revival for the water transport system that was forgotten for 60 years. Ponsai LLT, United Kingdom. Viewed from afar, this canal looks like a fragile ribbon of water crossing the sky at a height of 126 feet, completely separated from the ground. A little known secret is that the mortar Binding these giant stones was mixed with ox blood, helping the structure last for centuries. The scariest feeling is sitting on a boat and floating right next to the edge of the abyss without any protective railing. Supporting the entire system are 18 towering limestone pillars, but they are hollow inside to reduce pressure on the foundation. Although looking light, this black iron trough has been carrying a massive water volume of nearly 400,000 gallons for over 200 years. This deserves to be a World Heritage masterpiece. Raw mechanical engineering has conquered the harshness of time. The O2 London, United Kingdom, looking like a strange creature from space. 12 bright yellow towers pierce through the white shell to cling to the windy riverbank. A heart-stopping experience here is that visitors can walk directly on this elastic dome, hovering at a height of over 170 feet in the sky. Its location lies right next to the Greenwich Prime Meridian, where human time begins. So every design here aims to honour time. Specifically, its diameter is nearly 1,200 feet, representing the days of the year, while the height represents 52 weeks. Technically, this is actually the largest tent in the world, held up by 43 miles of steel cable. With absolutely no load-bearing walls like normal buildings. overcoming a past of being seen as a costly white elephant. This place has miraculously revived to become the best-selling stage on the planet. Warsaw Tower, Poland. Like a crystal arrow piercing the atmosphere, this tower rises proudly to affirm the new position of an entire nation. Its surpassing of rivals in London at a historic moment silently signal the shift of economic power to Eastern Europe. Europe. Here, visitors experience an absolute 360-degree view, where the horizon opens up endlessly without being blocked by any obstacles. With its tip reaching 1,017 feet, it officially became the tallest building in the European Union, beating all previous records. The highlight creating this record is the giant antenna mast weighing 73 tons planted on the roof, sharp as a needle, sewing the sky. The most magical thing is that inside that cold steel and glass shell hides a real garden with trees up to 20 feet tall living among the clouds. Vasco da Gama Bridge, Portugal. Viewed from afar, the white cable towers rise into the sky like a giant harp playing music in the middle of the vast estuary. On days with thick fog, this structure creates a strange illusion as the road seems to dissolve into nothingness among the clouds. To stand firm in the muddy water, engineers had to drive foundation piles more than 310 feet into the ground, equivalent to a 30-story building. With a total length of nearly 11 miles, drivers take up to 15 minutes to cross this vast ocean-like water surface. The most incredible thing is that this great masterpiece was completed at lightning speed, taking only 18 months to fully assemble. Hidden behind that fragile beauty is the power of survival. designed to withstand an earthquake 4.5 times stronger than the historical disaster. Kiel Canal, Germany. A strange visual illusion appears in the countryside as giant container ships seem to slide smoothly on the lush green grass. In fact, this water flow was born from the Emperor's ambition to help the naval fleet move secretly rather than to serve economic purposes. Because the channel is very narrow, visitors standing on the bank will be overwhelmed by moving steel walls gliding right before their eyes at close range. This is a rare place in the world where you can cycle relaxingly on a tree-lined path parallel to a supership hundreds of feet long. Even you have the opportunity to witness the unique sight when military submarines are forced to surface completely to move. Overcoming the smoky past, international treaties have turned this place into a common asset, opening freely to every peaceful ship. City of Arts and Sciences, Spain's. Stepping into this complex, visitors will feel like they are lost in the sci-fi movie Tomorrowland because of the architecture that exceeds imagination. Inside its heart holds a giant artificial ocean with 11 million gallons of water, perfectly recreating ecosystems from the Arctic to the Mediterranean. The brilliant white shell outside is actually meticulously assembled from millions of broken ceramic pieces, turning scrap into a work of industrial art. Rising into the sky is a cable-stayed bridge 410 feet high, bearing the elegant shape of a harp playing music for the clouds. Clouds. The special arched structure here allows two people standing 164 feet apart to clearly hear each other's whispers without shouting. Overcoming controversies about costs, this city has turned a dead river into the country's proudest tourism icon. Statue of Unity, India. Like an artificial mountain piercing the clouds, this giant is twice as tall as the Statue of Liberty, challenging every limit of human architecture. The greatness is shown in the smallest details, as just the big toe of the statue is taller than a grown man standing next to it. Not only huge, it is a solid fortress designed to withstand wind speeds of 112 miles per hour and powerful earthquakes right under its feet. This is the eternal portrait of the Iron Man, the hero who welded hundreds of scattered fragments to create a unified nation. The most touching thing is that the foundation was cast from millions of old farming tools donated by poor farmers everywhere. At a height of 502 feet in the chest, visitors can look through the statue's coat to see the sacred river flowing below. Karakoram Highway, Pakistan and China. Pitch black granite cliffs, sharp as beast teeth standing vertically against the blue sky, create a wild and threatening beauty for this land. And locals call this a cement mixed with blood project because it is estimated that for every mile of road completed, one worker lost their life. Life. At the highest point reaching 15,400 feet, the air is so thin that oxygen levels are only half, challenging human endurance limits to the extreme. Running parallel to it is a river with a magical milky green colour, which is the remains of mountains ground into powder by 1,000-year-old glaciers. Overcoming all obstacles, this highest international asphalt road in the world still stands proudly as the eighth wonder of humanity. The modern asphalt layer today lies right on top of ancient camel footprints, where merchants have transported silk for centuries. Kariba Dam, Zambia and Zimbabwe. A giant concrete wall has subdued natural power, creating an artificial lake stretching 137 miles right in the middle of the dark continent. The unique point is that the borderline between the two countries does not lie on the ground, but is drawn right in the middle of the top of this dam. Looking into the distance, the lake's surface is haunted by a ghost forest, where millions of drowned branches reach up dryly under the sunset. The most heart-stopping experience is striding 1,969 feet on the dam crest, where you will clearly feel the road shaking violently from the furious power screaming underneath. Sayano-Shushenskaya Dam, Russia. In the bone-chilling cold of negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the river below the dam steams and churns as if boiling amidst the white sky. Few expect that this wild power once cracked the surface of the structure in the past, forcing engineers to inject thousands of tons of special resin deep inside to save it. The brutal pressure from 26 million tons of water weighing on the foundation is so terrifying that it is believed to have slowed down the rotation of our planet. The proud 794-foot tall wall still stands there, holding back this power, imprisoning a dark, cold, and endlessly deep reservoir. However, that beauty was once paid for with blood, when a water storm tossed a 992-ton machine into the sky, drowning 75 lives in a historic tragedy. Boguchany Dam, Russia. Sitting imposingly in the Siberian wilderness, a giant wall hybridized from earth and concrete has ruthlessly suffocated the most violent river in the region. To clear the way for this project, over 5,000 indigenous residents were forced to uproot and leave, leaving their ancient villages permanently sunk under the water. That tearful sacrifice was not for civilian life, but purely to provide an exclusive power source to feed the secretive aluminum smelters deep in the forest. Enduring over 30 years of rusty oblivion before being revived, this giant will forever be a monument to human tenacity mixed with bottomless greed. Osutankino Tower, Russia. Piercing the clouds, this 1,772-foot concrete needle borrows the shape of an upside-down flower to proudly dominate the sky. It is hard to believe that the entire grand idea for this timeless masterpiece was drawn by the chief architect in merely one quiet night. Despite being made of rigid materials, the tower peak possesses amazing flexibility as it can sway up to 46 feet during massive storms. The real physical miracle lies in the fact that the massive 60,627 ton weight balances perfectly on a super shallow foundation only 15 feet deep. When winter fog swallows the base, as the observation deck above suddenly turns into an alien flying saucer floating mysteriously in midair. Even more proudly, it miraculously survived a devastating fire, enduring a temperature of 1,832 degrees Fahrenheit, burning for 26 consecutive hours without collapsing. Mohammed wa Amr bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park, United Arab Emirates. And instead of depending on depleted oil wells, this land is building a great sci-fi machine in the heart of the desert to change its destiny. To survive dust storms, an automated robot army is deployed to diligently clean the glass matrix without wasting a single drop of water. The terrifying heat rising from the mirrors makes the air vibrate intensely, twisting and bending the spatial illusion around the tower. Afar, this flat 30 square mile surface strip Looks like a silent dark blue crystal ocean nestled amidst a brilliant golden sand sea. Embracing the ambition to reach 5,000 megawatts. This megastructure is a fierce declaration of war by humanity to dominate the endless power from the universe. Tropical Islands Resort, Germany. From an abandoned airship hangar, this metal block has risen to become an eternal summer island, defying the freezing winter. Just by stepping through the door, you will be released into a 656-foot long, smooth white sand strip and soak in the warm sea day and night. Right under the cold industrial ceiling, a primitive rainforest still surges upwards with 50,000 densely intertwined plant species. This giant pillarless structure embraces a massive space of 194 million cubic feet, capable of swallowing the most massive wonders of humanity. That space is so vast that tourists can sit on a real hot air balloon, floating 197 feet above the ground right inside the glass cage. This survival cocoon is a testament to human pride, where a perfect tropical paradise is carefully packaged and sold for the price of a ticket. Sky Bridge 701, Yushan, Czech Republic. Hovering amidst the vast midair, this great suspension bridge splits the sky with a length of 2,365 feet and sits precariously at a height of 312 feet. The cruelest rule on this boundary is the absolute ban on turning around, forcing you to grit your teeth and step forward even when terror surrounds you. On foggy days, completely obscuring both ends, every hovering footstep brings a feeling of extreme isolation, like walking into the void. Despite stretching endlessly, the structure creates a creepy illusion of a fragile string ready to snap because of its breathtakingly narrow width of merely 4 feet. Looking through the steel grating floor, a whole primitive pine forest ecosystem and sharp cliffs appear clearly right under your heels. Each gust of wind, howling through tens of thousands of metal gaps, creates a moaning, eerie symphony, like the sigh of wild nature itself. Svalbard Global Seed Vault, Norway, shining like an emerald diamond in the long polar night. The door of this underground vault is the only highlight on the white desert. Even if the entire artificial power grid goes dark, the permafrost enveloping the mountain automatically maintains a temperature of 25 to 27 degrees Fahrenheit. To reach that gloomy realm, you must cross a 394-foot long narrow slope, leaving behind the outside world where ruthless polar bears rule. Inside the silent cold chambers, tens of thousands of plastic boxes are embracing humanity's agricultural legacy, quietly waiting to resurrect a shattered world. Confederation Bridge, Canada. Stretching across the icy strait, this great 8-mile-long traffic machine has shattered the millennial isolation of the island from the continent. A strange rule applied here is that you are completely free to enter but forced to pay an expensive toll fee if you want to return. To create this masterpiece, giant concrete blocks weighing 8,267 tons were cast on shore, then dropped into the sea by cranes like a great puzzle. When winter strikes, 65 cone-shaped pillars turn into a mechanical slaughterhouse, calmly slicing in half and crushing any giant ice floes crashing into it. The bridge structure deliberately winds into a giant letter S to break highway hypnosis, forcing drivers to always stay alert amidst the vast white space. Despite its supreme pride, this concrete strip still has to surrender to nature, as the barrier system will slam shut immediately if the wind force exceeds 43 miles per hour. Sydney Opera House, Australia. Standing out amidst the deep blue water, this architectural masterpiece carries the illusion of a windswept sailboat fleet reaching far out to sea. Instead of using a conventional air conditioning system, this giant machine cools itself by directly sucking the freezing seawater from the bottom of the ocean. When stepping into the curving wooden panelled auditorium, that mysterious space will immediately swallow you, just like the massive rib cage of a whale. The magic lies not only in the interior, but the soaring shape of those vaulted roofs is also a brilliant mathematical solution from a sphere with a radius of 246 feet. Feet. Enveloping that vaulted mass are over 1 million interwoven ceramic tiles automatically washing away dirt under the rain and sparkling like dragon scales under the sunlight. Overcoming the limits of a structure, this concrete creature has proudly become the eternal identifying seal for the entire southern continent. Sheikh Jaber Al Ahmad Causeway, Kuwait, surpassing the limits of ordinary structures. This majestic concrete strip is an extravagant epic stretching across the ocean to connect the city with the void. The trip begins from a brightly lit forest of skyscrapers, but will quickly throw you into a desolate and chillingly silent sand dune region on the other shore. Under the scorching 122-degree Fahrenheit heat of the Gulf, optical illusions frequently bend the light, making the bridge surface look broken and floating in the sky. Stretching up to 31 miles, its greatness forced humans to calculate even the curvature of the planet's surface so that the two ends would not miss each other. Despite costing billions of dollars, this masterpiece is currently just a sci-fi stroke, waiting for a future mega city that is still only lying on paper.